This short video will show how staff can view and edit lesson plans within Planning Live. Now, I've logged in here as a teacher called Felicity. These are all her schemes of work on the left hand side. If we expand the scheme of work, we'll see all the underlying lesson plans, the date and time, and also a description of the activity. Clicking any of these links will take the user to the lesson plan itself. We can also get to the lesson plan by actually clicking on the scheme of work itself and going to the Content tab. Each of these rows in this grid represents a lesson, and by clicking the Details button we can go to the lesson itself. We are now in the purple screen, which shows that we're on the lesson plan. We can move between lesson plans by clicking any of these hyperlinks, and we can just go next to move on to the next lesson. That's lesson number 2, lesson number 3, etc. If we look at this first lesson, we can see the activity from the scheme of work. It's an AS biology course, Group A, and it's for a unit called Biological Molecules. We have the date on 13th of September. We can move the day around within the week, and we can choose the start time and end time. This particular lesson starts at 2 o'clock in the afternoon and finishes at 5 o'clock, and therefore has a duration of 3 hours. If we look under here, we can see the students within the group. With basic information about them, such as attendance and punctuality, we can go directly to their ILP by clicking the ILP button. If the college owns an ILP such as ProMonitor, this will take the user directly to the student's ILP. The email button will send the student an email to this particular lesson plan if the college uses the student module for Planning Live. Over here we have the owners and teachers. An owner is a member of staff who can edit the lesson plan. The teacher is a member of staff who can view the lesson plan. We have the rooms where the lesson will be taught, and also any resources attached to the lesson plan which can be downloaded, and also extra resources can be added to. If we move further over here, I'd like to show how individual activities can be added to the lesson plan. So we've got a lesson here of 3 hours. Each of these records represents a different activity. This one here starts at 2 o'clock for 90 minutes. This is a particular type of activity. This is the activity itself. This is the learning outcome. We can click into here to edit them. There's a rich text feature which allows us to format text. We could underline. We can move activities around. We could move this down. We could move this up. We could add an activity underneath this activity starting at 2 o'clock. So we could have at 3 o'clock for 15 minutes a practical. This is the activity. This is the learning outcome. Changing the times then shifts the activities around. If this particular activity lasted for 30 minutes, we could change that, and this is then reflected in all the underlying activities. If this is 5 minutes, this will then change activities underneath it, as so. We can remove activities by clicking on the X button here to remove the activity if it's not appropriate. And we can also search for existing activities or default activities set up within the system. We click the search button. This will open up the search functionality where we could look for an existing activity and we could search for one. So if renew the activity description. We could search for any activity with the word homeostasis in it. We could then find that activity and click add, and that will add that record into the grid. This is a great mechanism for teachers to be able to share activities. We can also add attachments to each individual activity by clicking the folders icon. We could click add, we could search for the activity and add the document directly into the grid. Once the user is happy with this, they can click the save button and this will save the data to the database. Here we can see that actually, even though it's a 3-hour lesson, we've overrun by 15 minutes. So the teacher can see actually, well, maybe they need to change some of these times to reflect that. If we change that to 15, you can see that now we are spot on, it's gone green, the content matches the duration of the lesson. Moving further on, we could add actions which come out of the lesson by clicking the Actions tab. These are all the actions here result for this lesson, and these are all the actions resulting from the lesson. New actions can be created by clicking the Add button. Actions can be created for a member of staff as a reminder, or can be created for another member of staff, or can be created for the students within the group. An action can have a title, a type, and also a description. The lesson where the action should be reviewed can be selected through this list. Once the user has filled this information in, they can click save, and this will be added to the grid where the action can be viewed and, if appropriate, at a later date reviewed and a comment added in. Moving on, the teacher after lesson can appraise that lesson to say what went well, maybe what could be improved. Students can add feedback through the student module for that lesson by logging into Planning Live, and this feedback can be viewed for each of the students in the lesson by the teacher. So, for example, questions could be asked about how well do you think the content was covered? Do you think the teacher taught the unit well? What are the standards of challenge in the unit? And the students can then rate that particular lesson from a 1 to 10, or add in text about the lesson. We also have the ability in a context tab here to put the lesson in its broader context. For example, how the teacher might embed British values into the lesson, or how they might teach the lesson depending on the mixture of students within that class. We have the aims and objectives tab, which allows the teacher to put the overall lesson aims and overall lesson outcomes in here. Another functionality of the lesson plan is that the teacher can quickly view the scheme of work from the lesson plan by clicking this Peek Scheme of Work button. This will then open up the scheme of work within the lesson plan itself. The lesson plan being able to be viewed underneath. This can be removed by simply unpeaking the scheme of work. This concludes the short video about how teachers can view and edit their lesson plans.